Somewhere on Earth, there are birds so strange, so surreal, that they almost look like mistakes made by evolution itself. Creatures hidden deep inside rainforests, cloud forests, isolated islands, and forgotten swamps, where nature evolved without limits. Some look like living ghosts. Some move like dinosaurs. And some appear so unreal, people refuse to believe they actually exist. But these birds are real. And right now, many are disappearing faster than the world can discover them. Tonight, we journey into the hidden corners of the planet, to uncover 15 of the strangest and rarest birds ever evolved by nature. And trust me, the final bird may be the closest thing Earth has to a real-life vampire parrot. 15. Great Potoo. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a broken tree branch. Dead, motionless, forgotten by the forest. But then, the branch opens its eyes. Deep inside the rainforests of Central and South America lives one of the most disturbing birds on Earth, the Great Potoo. This creature has mastered camouflage so perfectly that predators, and even humans, can stare directly at it without realizing it's alive. During the day, the Potoo freezes completely motionless against dead wood. Its gray feathers mimic cracked bark with terrifying accuracy. No blinking, no movement, almost no visible breathing. And somehow, that makes it even creepier. But the strangest detail of all is that even when its eyes appear closed, the bird is still watching. Tiny slits hidden inside its eyelids allow it to monitor movement without revealing itself, meaning the forest is never truly sleeping. And when darkness arrives, the nightmare begins to move. The Great Potoo suddenly transforms from a silent tree branch into a flying predator with a mouth so enormous it barely looks real. It hunts insects in total darkness, then returns to its frozen statue pose before sunrise. But perhaps the most haunting thing about this bird is its voice. Its cry echoes through the jungle like a distant spirit trapped between worlds. Long, mournful, almost human. Many indigenous legends believe the sound belongs to wandering souls lost in the rainforest. And honestly, when you hear it alone at night, you understand why. The Great Potoo feels less like a bird, and more like the forest itself became alive for a moment. Just long enough to watch you back. 14. Blue-footed booby. Imagine trying to impress someone by showing off your feet. That sounds ridiculous. But for the blue-footed booby, it's literally the secret to survival. Found mostly around the Galapagos Islands and the Pacific coasts of South America, this bizarre seabird possesses one of the strangest features in the animal kingdom. Bright blue feet so vibrant, they almost look painted by hand. And no, they're not fake. The color comes directly from pigments inside the fish they eat. The healthier the bird, the brighter the blue, which means those glowing feet act like a biological dating profile. During mating season, male blue-footed boobies perform one of the most awkward and strangely adorable courtship dances on Earth. They slowly lift each foot high into the air, one at a time, as if marching in an invisible parade. The females carefully watch every movement, every step, every shade of blue, because brighter feet mean stronger genes, better hunting skills, and healthier offspring. But behind their comedic appearance, these birds are elite hunters. From high above the ocean, they dive like living missiles, reaching speeds close to 60 miles per hour before crashing into the sea to catch fish underwater. And somehow, that combination of elegance, absurdity, and precision makes them impossible to forget. The blue-footed booby proves something fascinating about evolution. Sometimes survival doesn't reward the strongest creature. Sometimes, it rewards the weirdest. 13. Secretary bird. Across the African savanna, there walks a predator so strange, it doesn't hunt with claws. It hunts with kicks. The secretary bird looks elegant from a distance. Long black legs, sharp eyes, graceful feathers trailing behind its head like ink pens from another century. But hidden beneath that stylish appearance is one of the most brutal snake hunters on Earth. Cobras, vipers, even highly venomous black mambas. None are safe once the secretary bird locks onto its target. Unlike eagles or hawks, this bird fights on the ground. And when it attacks, it becomes terrifyingly fast. Researchers discovered that a single kick can strike with incredible force in just milliseconds, faster than many snakes can react defensively. The bird stomps violently, again and again, until the reptile stops moving. Watching one hunt feels surreal, like witnessing a martial artist trapped inside a bird's body. But what makes the secretary bird unforgettable is the contradiction. It looks graceful, almost royal, yet underneath that elegance lives a ruthless predator built for war. Nature somehow combined fashion model and reptile assassin into the same creature. 12. Andean kakapo the rock. High inside the misty cloud forests of the Andes, there exists a bird so bright, it almost hurts to look at. The Andean cock of the rock doesn't just stand out from nature, it explodes out of it. Its feathers glow with an intense orange color so vivid, it looks digitally enhanced, like someone increased the saturation of reality itself. But this bird didn't evolve its appearance by accident. Everything about it was designed for one purpose: attention. During mating season, male birds gather together in forest arenas known as leks. And what happens next feels less like wildlife behavior, and more like a bizarre dance competition hidden inside the jungle. They jump, bow, spin, scream, and spread their glowing crests while females silently observe from nearby branches. Only the most impressive performers earn the right to reproduce, meaning these birds spend their entire lives competing to become unforgettable. And honestly, that pressure feels strangely familiar. Because deep down, humans aren't so different. We also want to be seen, chosen, remembered. The Andean cock of the rock is proof that evolution sometimes creates beauty not for survival, but for spectacle. 11. Long-wattled umbrellabird. Some birds evolve to blend into nature. This one evolved to look completely absurd. Hidden in the rainforests of Colombia and Ecuador, the long-wattled umbrellabird appears like a creature invented from a dream, or possibly a nightmare. Its enormous black crest hangs over its eyes like a feathery umbrella, and dangling from its chest is a long inflatable throat pouch that looks almost unreal. But the strangest part isn't how it looks, it's how it sounds. Deep inside the forest, the umbrellabird produces a low booming call so powerful, you don't just hear it, you feel it. The sound vibrates through the jungle like distant drums from another world. Researchers believe the bird uses specialized air chambers to amplify these deep frequencies across massive distances. And during mating season, males gather high in the canopy, calling into the fog for hours, waiting for females hidden somewhere beyond the trees. There's something ancient about the umbrellabird, something prehistoric, like evolution briefly remembered the age of dinosaurs, and accidentally recreated part of it. 10. Shoebill. Deep inside the swamps of East Africa, there stands a bird that looks terrifyingly ancient. The shoebill, a predator so unsettling, many people describe eye contact with it as deeply uncomfortable. It doesn't blink much. It barely moves. And when it stares directly at you, it feels less like being observed by an animal, and more like being evaluated by something older than humanity itself. Towering over 4 feet tall, the shoebill possesses one of the most bizarre beaks in the natural world. Massive, sharp-edged, and powerful enough to crush prey with shocking force. Lungfish, water snakes, baby crocodiles. Nothing escapes once the shoebill attacks. But what truly defines this bird is patience. It can stand motionless for hours inside muddy wetlands waiting for the perfect moment. Then suddenly, it strikes with explosive speed, like a prehistoric machine activating after centuries of silence. And strangely, despite looking like a monster from another age, shoebills sometimes bow to humans. Wild individuals have been observed lowering their heads during encounters, almost like a silent greeting between species, which somehow makes them even more unsettling, because for a brief moment, it feels like the bird understands you. 9. Hoatzin. If dinosaurs had survived in the Amazon rainforest, they might have looked something like this. The hoatzin is one of the strangest birds ever discovered. A creature so bizarre, scientists still debate where it truly belongs on the evolutionary tree. At first glance, it already looks unusual. Spiky feathers, blue skin around the eyes, a clumsy body built more for climbing than flying. But the real shock comes from inside its body. Unlike almost every other bird on Earth, the hoatzin digests food like a cow. Instead of using a normal stomach, it has an enlarged fermentation chamber where leaves slowly break down with bacteria. And that process produces something unexpected. A powerful smell. A very powerful smell. Strong enough that locals sometimes call it the stink bird. But somehow, the hoatzin only gets stranger. Its chicks are born with claws on their wings. Real claws. Tiny prehistoric hooks that allow young birds to climb branches after escaping predators. Researchers have watched baby hoatzins leap from nests into rivers, swim underwater, then climb back into trees using those clawed wings. Like watching evolution replay an ancient memory from the dinosaur era. The hoatzin feels less like a modern bird, and more like a surviving experiment from Earth's distant past. 8. Resplendent Quetzal. Some birds are beautiful. The resplendent Quetzal feels sacred. Hidden inside the cloud forests of Central America, this legendary bird glows like a living emerald floating through the mist. Its feathers shimmer between green, blue, and gold depending on the light. Not because of pigment, but because microscopic structures inside the feathers bend light itself. Meaning the Quetzal doesn't simply reflect color. It creates illusion. And when sunlight breaks through the fog, the bird almost appears supernatural. But the males possess an even more breathtaking feature. Tail feathers longer than their own bodies. Silky green ribbons flowing behind them as they fly through the forest canopy. Beautiful, elegant, and dangerously impractical. Because those massive feathers make escaping predators far more difficult. The Quetzal sacrificed survival. For beauty. And perhaps that's why ancient civilizations became obsessed with it. To the Maya and Aztecs, the Quetzal was not just a bird. It was divine. A living symbol of freedom, spirituality, and the gods themselves. Its feathers were considered more valuable than gold. And harming one was once treated almost like a sacred crime. Even today, seeing a wild Quetzal feels unreal. Like witnessing a myth briefly return to life inside the clouds. 7. Harpy eagle. Somewhere high above the Amazon canopy, there exists a predator so powerful, even monkeys panic when the forest suddenly goes silent. The harpy eagle. One of the largest and strongest eagles ever evolved. Its talons are larger than a grizzly bear's claws. Its grip can crush bone instantly. And unlike most birds of prey, the harpy hunts inside dense rainforest itself. Flying between massive trees with terrifying precision. Completely silent. No warning. No second chance. Researchers have documented harpy eagles carrying monkeys and sloths nearly equal to their own body weight. Which almost feels impossible once you realize how massive these birds already are. But what truly makes the harpy unforgettable is its presence. Its enormous feather crown gives it the appearance of an ancient warrior king. Its stare feels cold, focused, almost emotionless. And when one emerges from the rainforest shadows, it doesn't feel like watching wildlife. It feels like meeting the ruler of an older world. A world where survival belonged only to the strongest hunters. 6. Marvelous spatuletail. Deep inside a remote valley in Peru, there lives a hummingbird so strange. Many scientists once believed it couldn't possibly be real. The marvelous spatuletail. A bird no larger than a human thumb, yet carrying one of the most extraordinary tails in the animal kingdom. Most hummingbirds have many tail feathers. This species has only 4, and 2 of them extend far beyond its body, ending in glowing purple discs that float behind it like tiny hovering satellites. When the male begins his courtship display, the forest transforms into a miniature ballet performance. He rises into the air, darts backward, spins violently, then swings those bizarre tail feathers in hypnotic patterns while sunlight flashes across the spinning discs. Everything about the display feels impossible. Too delicate, too precise, too beautiful to belong to such a tiny creature. And yet, every movement exists for one reason. To convince a female he is worth choosing. The problem is, beauty like this comes at a cost. The species survives only in a tiny region of the Peruvian Andes. And habitat destruction is slowly pushing it toward extinction. Meaning one of evolution's most breathtaking masterpieces could disappear forever from the skies. 5. Philippine eagle. If the harpy eagle rules the Amazon, then the Philippine eagle rules nightmares. Towering inside the rainforests of the Philippines. This massive predator looks like something pulled directly from ancient mythology. Wild feathers explode around its head like a warrior's crown. Its enormous curved beak looks designed for war. And its eyes? Feel disturbingly intelligent. The Philippine eagle hunts monkeys high in the canopy. Which is why locals once called it the monkey-eating eagle. And to catch such agile prey, this bird evolved terrifying speed and precision inside dense jungle terrain. It doesn't simply overpower prey. It ambushes them, silently diving between trees before victims even realize danger exists. But perhaps the saddest thing about this bird is how rare it has become. Deforestation has devastated much of its habitat, and scientists believe only a few hundred breeding pairs remain alive in the wild. Meaning one of the greatest aerial predators on Earth is quietly disappearing alongside the forests that created it. The Philippine eagle is no longer just a bird. It's a warning. 4. Southern cassowary. If modern Earth still has dinosaurs, this is probably the closest thing to one. Hidden deep inside the tropical rainforests of Australia and Papua New Guinea, the southern cassowary moves through the jungle like a living weapon. Towering over 6 feet tall, weighing as much as an adult human, this bird radiates pure intimidation. Its massive body is covered in coarse black feathers that resemble dark fur more than plumage. Its skin glows with shocking shades of electric blue and crimson. And on top of its head, sits a strange helmet-like structure called a casque. Scientists still debate exactly why it evolved. Some believe it helps the bird push through dense rainforest. Others think it amplifies deep sounds. But one thing is certain. Everything about the cassowary feels ancient. Especially the feet. Each leg carries a dagger-like claw capable of slicing with terrifying force. When threatened, cassowaries kick forward violently with enough power to seriously injure predators, including humans. That's why many wildlife experts consider it the most dangerous bird on Earth. And honestly, when you see one emerge silently from thick jungle fog, you understand the fear immediately. But despite their violent reputation, cassowaries are also rainforest gardeners. They swallow large fruits whole, then spread seeds across huge distances through the forest. Some tropical trees depend almost entirely on cassowaries for survival. Without them, entire ecosystems begin to collapse, which means one of the deadliest birds alive is also one of the rainforest's most important protectors. 3. Kagu. There's a bird on Earth that feels almost ghost-like. Silent, pale, lonely. A creature that exists nowhere else except one isolated Pacific island. The kagu. Found only in New Caledonia? This strange gray bird looks like it wandered out of an old forgotten world. Its soft ash-colored feathers blend perfectly with the forest floor. Its glowing red eyes feel almost unnatural in low light. And unlike most birds, the kagu barely flies at all. It spends nearly its entire life walking quietly through the shadows of the forest. But when danger appears, the transformation is shocking. The kagu suddenly spreads its wings wide, revealing bold black and white patterns hidden beneath its feathers. Its body inflates. Its voice erupts into harsh screams echoing through the trees. For a brief moment, the shy ghost bird becomes something wild and intimidating, almost theatrical. And perhaps that's why local legends surrounding the kagu feel so mysterious. Its calls at dawn and dusk sound hauntingly unnatural, like warning sirens drifting through fog. Many people describe hearing one in the forest as deeply unsettling, as though the island itself is trying to communicate. But the most heartbreaking thing about the kagu is how fragile it has become. Introduced predators like cats and dogs nearly wiped the species out. Today, only a few thousand remain alive. Tiny survivors hidden in shrinking forests at the edge of extinction. The kagu feels like a message from another era. A reminder that isolation can create incredible beauty, but also incredible vulnerability. 2. Kakapo. Imagine a parrot that forgot how to fly. Now imagine that same parrot smells like flowers and honey, climbs trees like a mammal, and booms through the night like a distant bass speaker hidden inside the forest. This is the kakapo, one of the rarest birds alive, and possibly one of the strangest evolutionary stories on Earth. Found only in New Zealand, the kakapo evolved in a world almost completely free of mammalian predators. Over millions of years, it stopped needing flight. Its body became heavier. Its wings became weaker. And eventually, the bird transformed into a giant nocturnal climbing parrot. Today, adult kakapos can weigh nearly as much as domestic cats. They spend their nights wandering through forests, climbing trees, and parachuting awkwardly back to the ground using tiny useless wings. But perhaps the most surreal thing about them is their personality. Kakapos are famously curious and unusually gentle around humans. Almost too trusting. Which became a disaster once predators like cats and rats arrived in New Zealand. The birds had never evolved fear. And suddenly, their ancient survival strategy no longer worked. At one point, the kakapo came terrifyingly close to extinction. Only a handful remained alive. But conservationists refused to give up. Today every surviving kakapo is carefully monitored on protected islands. Each bird has a name, a tracking device, and an entire team fighting to keep the species alive. Right now, only around a few hundred exist on Earth, meaning every single kakapo matters. And somehow, that makes this strange flightless parrot feel incredibly emotional. Like watching an ancient world desperately trying to survive inside the modern one. 1. Dracula Parrot. Deep inside the cloud forests of Papua New Guinea, there flies a bird so dark and surreal, it genuinely looks unreal. The Dracula Parrot, also known as Pesquet's parrot. And honestly, no other bird on Earth looks quite like it. Its body is covered in deep black feathers that resemble velvet soaked in shadow. Crimson-red markings burn across its wings and chest like flashes of blood in darkness. And then there's the face. Completely featherless. Gray-black skin stretched across its head like something from Gothic fantasy art. The result is unsettling. Beautiful, but deeply unsettling. Which is exactly why people nicknamed it the Dracula Parrot. But this bizarre appearance evolved for a surprisingly practical reason. Unlike most parrots, the Dracula parrot feeds almost entirely on soft figs and sticky rainforest fruit. If feathers covered its face, the fruit's thick resin would constantly trap bacteria and rot inside the plumage. So over time, evolution solved the problem by removing the feathers entirely. Function created horror. And somehow, that makes the bird even more fascinating. Even its voice sounds eerie. Harsh, raspy, almost mournful. As flocks move silently through the misty canopy, they resemble black spirits drifting between clouds. But sadly, their beauty has also made them targets. Illegal wildlife trade and habitat destruction continue pushing the species toward decline. And if those forests disappear, one of the most visually unbelievable birds on Earth may vanish with them. The Dracula parrot feels like the perfect final reminder that nature never tries to create what feels normal. Sometimes evolution creates creatures so strange, so dramatic, so hauntingly beautiful, they almost don't feel real at all. From ghost-like birds hidden in rainforests, to dinosaur predators still walking through the jungle, these creatures remind us how wildly creative evolution truly is. Some survived because they became stronger. Others survived because they became stranger. And some now survive only because humans are finally trying to protect them before it's too late. But somewhere out there, inside forests we still haven't fully explored, nature is probably creating even more impossible creatures right now. If you enjoyed this journey into the strangest birds on Earth, make sure to subscribe to CurioVerse Wild for more unbelievable wildlife discoveries from around the planet. Because hidden somewhere in the wild, another creature that shouldn't exist is already waiting to be found.